Biddly, 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 bo. Yes, yo. Here we go. There ain't nobody down round here. Nobody do it how he does it. Get that badger. In and on and over here. I had to move back to get his greatness in. I thought I'd go live just on the basis that I've late at work, and I thought, don't really, by the time the quick shit vid gets uploaded, and I've been promising more lives. It will be slightly different from the underlap. It won't be going on for an hour. It'll just be probably 25 minutes of some transfer talk. So obviously, if you could smash a like for us, guys, it'd be much appreciated. If we can get anywhere near the records that we've been setting lately, which has been absolutely wild, it's been amazing. So thank you to each and every which one here. Yes, Ena. Yes, Tim Flowers. Andrew Marsh, what's good? I'm Mac Hunt. Hopefully, whatever you're on about, it wasn't too painful. Matt Leeds, Andy Peacock, Andy Rowe, what's good? Yes, smash a like for us, guys. Much appreciated. So what are your thoughts on this Pacquiao, Pac-Man, Paxo stuffing? My most frustrating thing for me, unfortunately, is that's 2 or 3 jokes there. Your Pac-Man, your Pacquiao, Manny Pacquiao, and your Paxo stuffing. That's 3 super duper irritating jokes that I would have been able to milk for at least a season until he got his move, until he got another big move or whatever. But so unfortunately, we've got to move on, haven't we? Because we do like the irritating jokes, because it really does get the I think it irritates the clock watchers more than anybody, really, or people that actually think I'm bothered about pronunciation of names. But in that sense, it's also got me away from not being able to pronounce his name all year, and then, being made to look an idiot 9 times out of 10 on the channel, which I think happens anyway. But yeah, to be honest, I mean, I can't profess to have known a great deal about him before he got here. It was very similar to Rafinha. Everybody were going on about Rafinha, saying that he's the Rafinha 2.0. I think he'll be some way off being Rafinha 2.0, in fairness, but you can't really begrudge him of his move to Marseille. It's a bit irritating how it all sort of came about, didn't it? Stuff Paxo now, yeah, that's the way now. Don't care now, already moved on. I will fuck it, move on, get players who want to be at Leeds United. Yeah, you can't really begrudge him the move, to be fair. I mean, I personally don't think it's much of a muchness in between sort of going to Leeds or Marseille. I think the Premier League's got a massive pull, but I do understand, they are higher up on the food chain probably currently. But the main thing with us is where we can go, and the Premier League pull, and then where you get like your Rafinhas, what you can go on and do. You can end up in a much bigger and better scenario, can't you? Emmett saying Farker ain't got no pulling power. That's the problem. I don't think that's got anything to do with it. Yes, Easy Rendell, UFC 86. What's good? Matt Lee says, wish we got him, but we got 4 good winners. Got 4 good wingers, and we move on to our next target. I think they did everything to get the man as well. I thought at one point it was a masterstroke. I thought they sort of waited for Marseille to show the hand a little bit, and then I don't know whether we've been sort of like double played, double bluffed, but because then we obviously dropped in. So I don't think it's a case where we dropped the ball. I think we did everything we could have done to get him, and then Marseille just sort of jumped in. The slight confusion. I mean, there were some rumblings. It did seem to be taking a while, and there were some rumblings that he's a bit of a trouble causer, and all this stuff starts to come out. And that's when I start to think. Right, the fans are getting. There's a bit of unrest going on here, and there's some nonsense rumours floating about, and people are starting to run with it. But I'll be honest, I'm very similar to, I've moved on already from it. I was like, all right, gutted, what next type of thing. Because I do think, when they're willing to put on 35 million or whatever, or break their transfer record, I do think, we just go again, don't we? There will be another player. There's wingers a 10 a penny. Granted, you've got to catch them at the right time, because they're not always sort of available to go and move, are they? If they've just signed a contract, or say if we went up next year and you wanted Paxo stuffing, unless he's been shit at Marseille, you're not going to get him, are you? So, it'd be moving onwards and upwards, you'd thought. So you got to land at right time, but we're in the right pool of players, aren't we? Sunderland are spending money like there's no tomorrow. They just bought Xhaka for like 20 million euros, which I think's really quite expensive for a man of his age, and his movement, his inability to move, it should be said, even though I got pellets for that, saying that he runs about more than anybody in German league, which I've not checked, but even if that is to be true, it doesn't mean he can still cut it at Premier League level. But my point being, you know, as they keep spending money, it's going to allow us to spend some money, isn't it? And 35 million's not to be sneered at, is it? So there will be plenty of other wingers for 35 million. Obviously, the media goes straight into, you know, Solomon. We start getting back into Solomon territories and stuff, which, you know, I'm backing on Solomon at that bit. I'd be fine with Solomon. I do, if I'm brutally honest, I do want, just selfishly, want something a little bit more interesting. I really, really like Solomon as a player, and he was awesome last year, but I think he's moved with no real intention of coming back, which is fine. I get over it, but I just think he's gone back to Tottenham, and you know, I think he'd rather have played for Tottenham in the Prem. So I would like to bring someone in like Pacquiao stuff in, whether he's a trouble causer or not, which I don't think he would be, to be fair. I think that's just nonsense, as I say. But I'd like to bring someone in like that where, you know, it's a bit of an experiment, because I've said for weeks now, but we've built from the back. We've got some mint centre-backs in. Look, Goodmanson looks good, left back. Obviously, really strong now in centre midfield. So we've got decent wingers. I just think we've built to a point where we can splash some cash, get some really funky Friday footballers in that want to give it the big one, you know, step overs galore and what have you, and, you know, providing they still work hard. You just know what you're getting with Solomon, and you want something that's maybe a little bit more. I don't know if Solomon's got like the killer instinct. Do you know what I mean? And there are a lot of like, well, obviously Brazilian wingers over the years tend to have the killer instinct, don't they? I remember when Rafinha came on. I can't remember who it were against, but he came on for a cameo with like 5 minutes to go at Ellen Road, and he zipped this ball and he fired it in, and it was, you just knew it was totally different gravy. But to be fair, they were all saying that about him. I think it was Bamford at the time. They all said that you just knew as soon as you saw him in training that he were like gonna get in the side, and he's moving on, you know, moving onwards and upwards. Said it about Ben White as well. You know, you can tell that there's a big difference in there between them. So yes, Tudor Rose, Dan James going to light the Prem up. I agree. I think it'd be mint. Render says, no doubt Underwood has other targets. Yes, would be been a fantastic signing, but there's other decent wingers out there. To go with ones we've got, I think the number 9 is most important. Well, funnily enough, Render, I agree. I thought from the get-go that we're not really in desperate need of a winger, particularly if we were, because at the time I was talking about bringing Solomon back. I was never really worried about, I was more worried about the 10. It's not looking like, I was worried about the 10 and the 9. It's not looking like we are going to be playing with a 10, which I'm super thankful for. I really want to go 4-3-3. We don't need Pac-Man stuffing. We have Jack Harrison. But this is, you know, I'm going to get pelters again, but this is what I've been saying. If we can't get a player in like that and they're willing to spend 35 million pounds, I don't think they'll go. I think there'll be whatever you rate Harrison at, if he turns to be the fourth choice winger at the club, that is a decent squad level player, isn't it? So unless you're going to bring someone in that's significantly better than everybody we've got, I'd rather they went, well, we can now push the budget out a little bit more on a centre forward, or, you know, if we're getting that Muniz in and stuff, you know, which they might be looking at doing anyway. It's looking like they are. It's a hit, isn't it? We've taken a bit of a strike, but it is what it is. Thus far, the wind has gone really well. Everybody that we've really, really wanted, we've got. I know people would point to Diarra, who I think got injured the other day, which I'm not laughing at on his behalf, but it's also quite funny. But we've proved, everybody that's come into the club has said that Farke has got the pulling power. I mean, no matter how many times you say it, Emma, I think everybody that's come to the club has said Farke was like quite a major player in that. And ultimately, it's the Premier League. And these players, you know, so, you know, Diarra ends up going to Sunderland, and that isn't because of the pulling power. That's because they've been paid more money, or the club have accepted it, or whatever, and we weren't willing to go to that level. Farke probably couldn't promise him the same amount of minutes that Sunderland have. They've just said, oh yeah, get here and you'll play every single game, and you know, different clause in his contract. It could be anything they're talking about. Agent could be getting a bigger, could be anything, could be getting a bigger cut. So it just is what it is. It's not all down to Farke. Ultimately, you know, the conversation with the manager won't be that deep. They'll go in and go, right, what are your plans for me? And go, well, I think you're a really important part of the squad. think, we really want to keep you, really want to get you here, really want to play you, and we'll pay you very handsomely for it, and we'll treat you with loads of respect. And then they go, right, all right, nice one. Let me see what the wage packet is. And then they go, right, Premier League football, £80,000 a week, sign on the dotted line, and they sign and they're here, aren't they? So, because believe me, Pacquiao Stuffing's not coming to the Premier League. He's not coming to the Premier League because of Farke. He's not coming to the Premier League because he obviously prefers the Marseille move. And it does not come down to a manager. I actually got a comment, and unfortunately, I can't remember who it was off a while ago. I just saw it on Sunderland's Twitter that he'd been forced off. But regardless, I'm happy to be wrong about that. I don't really care about what Sunderland are up to. Yeah, I actually saw a comment, or it might have been my mate text me, I can't remember, but it was being jovial, but it was just saying about Bamford, like, obviously been told that he won't be playing anymore. And he were like, just sitting under 21s for 10 games, because if it doesn't go Farke's way, there's a new manager in anyway. And that makes me laugh, because it's also true. So the new manager might have him in his plans. He's joking, and so am I now. I'm nicking his joke. But the point being, players don't come for the manager because they know the manager's not going to be there for very long. Gone are the Arsene Wenger and Alex Ferguson days and all the rest of them that used to be there for years. So it's, you don't come for the manager. You know that if it don't go well for you and them, or if the only scenario where it don't work is if it's going well for the manager and you're not very good within the team. It's like, well, that's a you problem, isn't it? If you're coming to the Premier League and, the team aren't doing well, that's not a you problem. You'll be all right. The manager will get bombed. So it's an interesting dynamic, and I understand people like to sort of bring Farke down at every single moment for no reason whatsoever, even though he got 100 points and, we were unlucky not to go up the year before. We just didn't have enough. Had a poor start and he steadied the ship really well. But people just, anytime anything goes wrong, but he's got no pulling power when we do bring in good players like Stack and we bring in Longstaff and, Rodon really wanted to play. Ampadu really wanted to play for him. Tanaka wanted to play for him. None of them are good signings, are they? There's no pulling power for there. Your idol Ramazani wanted to play for Farke, but it's got nothing to do with Farke's pulling power. That's something else, isn't it? But when it comes to a player that doesn't sign because they're actually off to a big club like Marseille, again, I would pick Leeds United, but I'm a Leeds United fan. Nobody says, everybody goes into, he's got no pulling power. It's just, it's I don't know, is that a paradox or it's a funny thing anyway? I don't know if it's a parody or whether you're just having yourself on about it. But in other news, but yeah, just to close up on that, I don't think it's a slip up. I think it's one of them things. I don't think Leeds have dropped the ball with it. We've had a really good window thus far. I must say, signing Pacquiao, Pacquiao Stuffing would have propelled the transfer window into like an 8/9, getting on for a 9 out of 10, wouldn't it? Because thus far, when that looked like it were coming in and then the keeper were done over the weekend, it's like, if we get them 2 signings in over this weekend, that's a wild weekend for a Leeds United football club, isn't it? Which unfortunately hasn't pulled off. But, they might, if they get to move this week, if we still bring in a top player like that or a really exciting player like that within this week, we're in a really, really strong spot again. And then if we are on the lookout for a 9, it's just frustrating because it looked like we could have got all our business done, more or less, with a couple of weeks to spare before the beginning for Everton. And then you're potentially looking at like a full strength squad going into Everton game. Whereas you don't really want to be sort of like days before still sort of pondering around here. So Ramsdale's going to Newcastle, says Tom. Yeah, I know it's that opens up the Nick Pope door again, doesn't it? But I'm happy with big 6'5.5" monster peri peri sauce. At least we get that joke in. Might not feel he's ready to step up to the Premier League yet. Well, he needs to be getting on with it, in fairness, doesn't he? But Tom says we've still got 3 loans that we should use. Yeah, well, we've not, and it's not even been rumbling about that, has it? I'm not sure if it's you, Tom, to be fair, so sorry if it is, but somebody says that quite a lot in my lives, and it is a real valid point. We do have some players that we could pick up that potentially don't want to sign. It's very similar to Solomon coming down to the Championship and coming and doing a job for us. it's the same thing. You could pick up some players that need some game time, and will get it, or certainly around the club. But I just think they'll go again. I think they'll be somebody second on list. They seem to be holding out for him a little bit, but it's not a slip. It just keeps the window at what it is it takes the sting out of the Perry sauce signing, done it a little bit. Because like I say, that would have been a wild weekend for Leeds United Football Club, but it's not quite come to fruition. AO says, we're having a decent transfer season and the 49ers will keep pushing for us to the best we can be. The Pacquiao stuffing isn't the end of the world. No, I agree. Andy Rose says, Jack, I don't 100% agree with your rhetoric that nobody signs because of the manager. I don't remember saying nobody ever signs because of the manager. My rhetoric is that, I don't need to repeat everything I've just said, but I don't need to repeat everything I've just said, do I? Some players sign because of the manager, obviously if it's Pep Guardiola, but some players don't care. It's horses for courses. We've made shrewd signings so far, says Limey. Agreed. Those that are in breakdown because of him choosing Marseille, I'll just say wait a day or two and see what next name linked. I'm sure 49ers and Underwood might surprise us again. I heard something about Justin Jim. Well, they will definitely just be straight on to the next target, won't they? And we'll be excited again. It's just a shame bringing in Perry and then, it's the first sort of stumble in a while, isn't it? Because when the Diarra stuff were happening, it all went. Everybody went into meltdown, and we're some way off meltdown. Because even if we stop now, you'd still have to say it's been a decent window. But Farkel saying in his interview the other day that they're not done by any means yet. So by any means necessary. I don't know why I keep saying that, Emmett, but it's. I don't know why I keep saying that, but I'm not in a mood. I'm very rarely in a mood. I'll tell you one thing that is for sure, Emmett. If I was in a mood, I would not be coming on YouTube. Believe me, when I'm in a mood, that's when you don't see me for a few weeks. Where would you say your transfer priorities should be right now? I still think up top. I'd still like to get a major player in up top, but a winger in an up top, I think finishes us off. To be honest, we've signed somebody more or less in every single position, haven't we? Ain't nobody down on it. Exactly, Dr. Curas. You've got it, mate. You've got it. In other news, smash a like for us, guys. Let's get them likes up. 45. We've got 110 in room and only 45 likes, so let's get them likes smashed up, boys. Well, it'd be fuming that you've called him Emma. I think you're all coming for me tonight, but I'll just keep going on with Dr. Curis. I think ain't nobody down around here. In other news, Isaac Schmidt. People won't live for this or like this. What's good, Oliver? Yes, brother. Some players will have to be moved on and moved out, won't they? And Isaac Schmidt, ultimately, I actually thought he looked decent towards the end of the season last year, but again, being decent in Championship for sort of 20-odd minutes is nowhere near enough. I saw earlier how many minutes he'd actually played, and it wasn't a lot. Let's have a look here. 71 minutes. Schmidt only managed 71 minutes of game time in his 12 Championship appearances last season, which obviously propels everybody into saying that. But it's just a quick live, this MVG. Don't worry, it's not the underlap. It won't be a marathon. People will then flip the lid and say that he's not had the chance to play. I just think ultimately some players are decent. Sometimes getting rid of a decent player, people go too much over the top of it. It sort of suggests to me that we have better players right now, and it also suggests when a player gets moved on and does well, it's seen to be a bad thing that the club have done. Like Fark has got it wrong, or the 49ers got it wrong, like getting rid of a player. I'm not saying Schmitz. We don't know what he's going to go on and do, but if he's decent, it doesn't mean it's like Cresswell going on and being decent. Everybody's saying, "Oh, fucking, I want to keep all the Cresswell." It's like, because sometimes they're not ready for the club, or they're not we're not in the right position to play him, or just Rodon's better than him. Do you know what I mean? Rodon's better than him, Pascal's better than him, and people don't like to hear that, but that's probably the case. And it also suggests that if you get him, you've got to get rid of some players. We can't keep hold of them all. It also suggests that the players we're bringing in are also decent. So it's not necessarily an Isaac Schmidt shit thing. It's just an Isaac Schmidt needs to be moved on, or he wants to be moved on, or Farke just doesn't quite think he's the right man for it. It doesn't mean he can't go on and do something decent. McTominay has gone away and been brilliant, hasn't he? Now, McTominay was playing for Man United and I always thought it was decent, but then Man United fans are like, we should have never got rid of McTominay. It's like, but he wasn't the answer to the question you were trying to ask, was he? We're in a position where, is Isaac Schmidt genuinely going to play in the Premier League for us? Or is he better off going to Werder Bremen and doing bits over in Werder Bremen, getting his career back on track? We can't just keep hold of every single player. We knew we'd be. One thing I would say that as well that I think strengthens us with 49ers, we've not been discussing any players going out whatsoever from the start of the season, from the end of the season. Normally it's a little bit like, Burnley have been poached, haven't they? Best player in the world, Trafford's gone. Sunderland got poached immediately with Bellingham. That hadn't happened to us, and people will just say, well, because we don't have any star players. That'd be some idiot's argument. But there was never any discussion of players like leaving. There's only obviously Solomon that went back from his loan. And other than that, there was no noises of it whatsoever. It looked like, so we're in the driving seat in terms of who we're going to release. And Isaac Schmidt is, one on the chopping board. Hey up, Kevin. Lee Gladwin says, Schmidt is not a Farke player. I thought it was decent. I thought it was decent, I really did. Southie says, evening, Jack. I'm not worried about the potential buy-in. If we get a couple more players, we're going to be better than other Prem teams. I think we're in a really strong position at the moment. That's why I'm not gonna start panicking about losing out to a team like Marseille. I keep saying, I'm making out as though Marseille are these giants, but they are a big club, and I don't really begrudge him the move. I can understand why he wouldn't want to come to a newly promoted side. Farke don't have any pull, does he? And then also, Patrick Bamford, we're back onto Wrexham. There was some noise that it was potentially going to Wrexham even weeks ago, even before Farke had sort of given him his fate, telling him that it was he no longer is to be involved at the club. I think Wrexham would be they look like they're trying to throw a bit of money about, don't they? Like they always do, Wrexham. I can't remember, they were a big player the other day. Oh, it's Ericsson, isn't it? Yeah. They were trying to put, I don't know if they ended up pulling that off or not, but South, you're at it again, brother. What an absolute legend, mate. Thank you, dude. Get you in for your shout out there. Shout out to South, everybody. The West Coast Warlord. Cheers, South. I appreciate you, brother. You've been making this my full-time job, South, if you keep going on like this. I won't have to work another day in my life. Shout out to Southie, legend. But I think Joseph could take a leaf out, is it a leaf out of Bamford's book? Would it be a leaf or page out of Bamford's book? What would a leaf be? A leaf be out of Bamford's tree? Bamford's been going and playing in under 21s. We had a discussion the other day on the live whether or not Farke would say to Bamford that he's no longer involved if he knew Joseph wasn't going to come back to training. But it's a wild thing for Joseph to be doing, particularly at his age as well. I just think it's silly. I mean, Bamford, as I say, consummate professional, gone and played in under 21s. I think they got battered as some at 3-0 as well, so it's not been a good game for him to play in. But I don't know whether he'll just want to sit it out, that you don't know whether Farke's sort of had a word. And, I mean, he was really cool about it, to be fair, wasn't he, when he said he was no longer to be involved. And he just said he deserves to be told that there's no future for him at the club, or he's not in Farke's plans. And we do need to, at some point move on from Bamford, as we all know. But I thought he'd play a part off the bench. But if he went to Wrexham, I don't think he'll want to, though. It's my main thing, and I don't know if you'd blame him for that. I think he'd want a bit of a top move. I think he'd want, they were talking about going to America a few, must be about a month ago. He was talking to, I think it was his cousin or something, on the telly, and he was saying that he would be open to a move to America, and his wife would be up for it and stuff. But it was on about having a full year in Prem and then potentially moving on. So now as a single guy, the X money for nails, hair, and tattoos is what I'm giving out to my Leeds guys. You're a legend, Southie. I appreciate it, and I don't want to say I'm glad you split up with your bird because, but ultimately, if you're spreading the love, then you're a good man. But no, I hope you're all right, man. But yeah, so will Bamford just want to sit it out or try and get a move that he actually fancies? I don't think he sounds bad. It sounds like would fancy Saudi Arabia, but move to America, a trip, like a life experience. He seems like that type of a lad as well, doesn't he? That he's a nice guy, isn't he? Fucking hell, South. I hope you're all right, old boy. Can be a brutal time. Yeah, did he? Render says, think Bamford mentioned something on the Ben Foster podcast too about America. Yeah, he has been. He's been on about it. Yeah, that'd be mega, wouldn't it, Tom? That would be mint, to be fair. We'll wait till it's half price, and then we'll get Southie on back, and then we'll get him on back wall. That'd be piss funny. Smash a like for us, guys. We've got 130 in room and only 68 likes. Can do better than that. 63 likes, no, NA 68. Got 130 in room. So if we could get them likes in and on and over here, that's what we all live for. We live for likes and Southeast super chats. That's what we live for. Michael wonderfully said, Leeds United lost out on their first choice target in Max Aarons, and then they got Jayden Bogle instead. It's not the end of the world. Wingers are everywhere. You've got to keep moving, grooving, dipping and dodging, aren't you, and wait until somebody pops up, which they'll already have, a list of names. I think it's saying here that he's signing to sign 5-year contract after improved Leeds United bid. Leeds United have been chasing Igor, Paxman, Pacquiao, Paxo stuff in this summer, and a deal has now been agreed. The Feyenoord winger was outstanding in the division last year. Pacquiao subsequently attracted interest from several clubs. Leeds were keen on signing the departure of Manor Solomon. However, Pacquiao will no longer head to Ellen Road this summer as Daniel Farke has now been handed a huge blow. Marseille have agreed transfer despite improved Leeds offer. Leeds were battling with the French giants Marseille for Pacquiao's signature, but despite returning to the Premier League, they have now lost the race. Fabrizio Romano has now reported via X that Pacquiao will join Marseille after an agreement was reached with Feyenoord. This comes after Leeds made an improved bid for him. One thing they have done is, I don't know if anybody were here a few weeks ago when the joke was born, but they've sorted this page out, which is unfortunate. So that used to say, I can't remember what it used to say. Oh, it still does. I've played myself. I thought they'd sorted it out. I just read it wrong. Still says 3,970 goals. How many more times can you produce that? I just assumed it had been sorted in my own head. How many more times can you produce this as a stat on a website and produce it as real? And then you suggest that in 47 appearances, he scored 3,970 goals. How can you keep doing that? It's a disaster to me. That's ridiculous. Oh, yes, Mark Bradley. Thank you, dude. Handing them memberships out. You're all absolute legends, guys. Honestly, I appreciate you all so much. Andy Rowe telling me what every other YouTuber's up to. Like, nobody do it how he does it. This is when he starts pitting them off against each other. And now he'll go to Joe Blackburn and say, Jack wasn't right happy for you. But what? No, we're on his own hustle over here, Andy. We're on his own hustle. We've got Southie and Matt Bradley supporting, so we live for likes on the Badger. All hail the Badger, House of Ains. Love it, mate. When were we in for Manny Pacquiao? It's been on for months, man. Manny Pacquiao, the former multi-weight world champion. JackCity Southie 2025. That could be a number, couldn't it? Could always get Grealish season loan to get career back on track. Well, that's been muted, hasn't it, by the Voldemorts of the world. So it's no, Andy, it's not. I can't be asked. I can't see anybody buying any merch from me particularly. But yeah, other than that, guys, Bamford to Wrexham, Isaac Schmidt looking like he's on his way out, Solomon potentially back on the radar, and then losing out on Pacquiao stuffing. There's not been a great deal happening today. It's gone from what could have been a very lively day to not so much. Gibbs White signed a big contract, didn't he, with Nottingham Forest, which I think is unfortunate because I was hoping they were going to be really declining. And maybe somebody that had been a member of the battering Rams next year, but I think they'll probably be decent. But I was always only joking with that because I knew it'd wind a few people up saying that they'd have a big fall from grace. But I still think they'll be a significantly worse next year. But would you take Garnacho from Scum? If Farker wants him, I mean, he's decent in spells, isn't he? Garnacho, but he's a dickhead and he's a Ronaldo fan. How do you become a member? I don't actually know, Tom. I think there's a thing you can press somewhere that says join. But I don't. Oh, there's it. Yeah. Oh no, I don't know. I don't know. Somebody in chat will tell you that's ridiculous, isn't it? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Then people are asking if I'm selling bloody merchandise. I tried becoming a member, but I don't have a join button on mine. Is there any way to do it, anyone? I don't know, Alfie. Unless I honestly don't know. It's ridiculous. I think there's a few different little icon across from the thumbs up. Don't know, boys. This is out of my jurisdiction, this. We should keep Schmidt. Schmidt says Dythy. I'm not sure, man. I think there's a few different ones. Render, I think you can pay like 99p or 199 or 299 or something like that. Tom says Everton, Wolves, West Ham, Brentford will all be dragged into the relegation battle next season. Telling you, I think Everton will be all right next year. Honestly, do. Oh, I tell you what. To close, I've had a meal deal because I think I'm off to the cinema tonight. Luke said, "Energy. I've had a long weekend, boys, and I got some smoked salmon, sushi, which I don't want to have a meal deal, but she'll get home and be like, why are you eating without me? Why are you eating without me?" So I thought, best not. Click off the chat, and next to JackCity, it says join. I wish I could show you, but there is a link in the bio. To be fair, that definitely works. I don't know. I'll have to do some research. I only watch films at the cinema, and they're always shit, which I did say the other day. Can I get a JackCity mug, mate? I think there's from way back when you can buy a JackCity mug online, but I'd rather you just give me your address and I'll just send you one. I thought I was the only one who didn't dare order grub without the missus. You feel some sort of guilt. It's mad, isn't it? Honestly, man, it's mental. And then to have to force something else down. I don't know, MVG. It'll just be whatever she picks. Go to the main page by clicking the left-hand Leeds badge, then open the membership tab. I really should know how to do this, shouldn't I, boys? Yeah, there is a membership tab, to be fair. Members channel, it's called, or something. I've done 921 videos in my time here. I never knew that. It's crazy. I don't know, MVG. Oh, I've answered that, haven't I? Just had a meltdown. Have you seen him? It's this well-soiled moment, that. Have you seen him when he throws it up and just punches it and he just hoifs it? That is wild, is that, Neil? I'm hoping he doesn't do that and it does more or less go straight out of play, but, you know, still a pleasure to watch, isn't it? It's exciting. I was excited when he got here. And he's a big, massive bastard. And not that he's going to be coming up from corners, but certainly when defending corners, we're going to be laughing with him, aren't we? But yeah, that's my quick live, guys. I thought I'd jump live. It'll be a quick shit vid tomorrow. I might get an interview on hopefully this week, and then I'll be live on Thursday as per normal. Shout out to each and every which one of you, but shout out to Southie for the crazy super chat again, and shout out to Mark Bradley for handing out their memberships like he's Santa Claus. So yeah, shout out to Southie and Mark Bradley. Take it easy, MVG. Take it easy, Andy Rowe, for being in the nuisance that only Andy Rowe can be. JLUFC, Neil Davison, and of course my man Ena. Tom, 78 RPM, Lee Gladwin. You're all boyos. Take it easy, Oliver. Cheers, Dick Dastardly. In a bit, boys. One more shout out for Southie. Mark Bradley, legends. In a bit, boys. See you tomorrow for a quick shit vid. In it.
Boom.